Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Hold My Nuggets Incorporated for your 2019 NFL Week 15 pre-game analysis show. I am your host, the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual, the Chiseled Adonis, and I am ecstatic. You can see the Pornhub shirt on my chest because I'm damn near erect at what's fixing to transpire the next 3 weeks, the final 3 weeks of the regular season, where we see a ton of playoff implication games happening in this National Football League. I'm excited, man. Are you excited? I am ready to see what happens. I'm expecting another exciting week of football. Week 14 was very, very, very good. I expect Week 15 to top it, given, the implications of every single game. But let's not get repetitive. I don't want to sit here, reverberate, regurgitate, reiterate my past said sentiments. So let's jump right into it. First, Thursday Night Football. The Baltimore Ravens hosting the New York Jets. Questions about the health of Lamar Jackson, but it turns out he will be playing. I don't know how long they plan to have him out there. Le'Veon Bell returning after having to deal with the flu. I have zero confidence in the Jets being able to pull off this game, but I do think they may possibly make it interesting. However, Baltimore has won 8 of their last 9 against the New York Jets. On top of that, they're playing at home, so I see no reason as to why Baltimore loses this game. I got them defeating the New York Jets. I think defensively, they probably mess around and catch 3 INTs. I think Darnold plays good for 1 quarter, but then falls off of a cliff. Most likely that quarter will be the second. I think Baltimore jumps out to an early lead. Might just take 14-0, 17-0, whatever the case is. I think the Jets can fight back, cut it to about a field goal or 1 score, and then after that it's all Baltimore in the second half. I think Mark Ingram on the ground will run very well against this Jets defense. I think Lamar Jackson will eclipse Michael Vick's single season rushing record. I do believe he's only 23 yards behind, so I cannot envision a circumstance in which he does not get those 23 yards. But for the Ravens, health. Protect Lamar Jackson. Coming into this game, he is banged up. You do not want a guy who plays his physical style of football where he is mobile, he is running. You don't want him out there looking like Cam Newton, looking like Andrew Luck, under duress all the time, constantly getting hit when he does go for those scrambles. For Lamar, get down. Lamar is very meticulous in when he's actually scrambling with the football. He knows when to lower that shoulder and fight for extra yardage. He knows when to, either slide or get out of bounds. But for this particular game, do not lower the shoulder. Do not jeopardize your health. You've already clinched a playoff spot. You can pretty much, wrap up the division. I think this week, if not this, I believe this week they get a W this week. They wrap up the AFC North. But for all intents and purposes, it's pretty much, clipped from here. I cannot envision Baltimore losing 3 consecutive games. So play it safe, Lamar. Do not go out there and put your body at more risk than it already is in the physical sport that is, football. But I have the Ravens winning this game at home. I think the Jets will probably make it interesting only in that second quarter. But again, I believe Baltimore gets the job done. We're going to move to Sunday with the Panthers hosting the Seattle Seahawks. I got the Seahawks winning this game. All right, tough loss against the Rams on Sunday Night Football. They definitely need to, keep pace with the 49ers in order to stay alive for that Week 17 matchup where they can possibly go ahead and win the division. So I got Seattle winning this game. For the Panthers, I do not think they'll be able to run the football the same way that we saw, the Rams run the football last week. I'm pretty sure that we'll see the Seahawks double down on their run defense. I'm concerned about their rushing attack because with Rashad Penny now out with that ACL, it's going to be all on Chris Carson. We saw him carry the load last year. I do not think he's going to have a big drop-off. He'll just have an increase in his workload, and I think he honestly can handle that. Although he's been dinged up with some injuries here and there this season, I think he'll take care of business for the most part. And more importantly, I do not think this Panthers defense will be able to stop Russell Wilson. You just saw them give up 40 to Atlanta. You think Russell Wilson's not going to be able to get David Moore, not be able to get Tyler Lockett, not be able to get DK Donkey Kong Metcalf going? You've got to be kidding me. Hell, Jacob, we don't wear Hanes, we wear Hollison, might be out there, find his way into the end zone 2 times. All right? Russell Wilson has been able to find his tight ends and get them, TDs. So I have the Seattle Seahawks winning this game on the road in Carolina. I think Christian McCaffrey will be the only bright spot for this Panthers offense. I do see several different situations in which We see Kyle Allen turn the football over. Quandre Diggs just had 2 INTs last week against Jared. He might just be a liability golf, so I expect him to get Kyle Allen a couple of times as well. Well, not him in particular, but I do believe maybe Shaquem Griffin, Shaquille Griffin. Shaquem only got one hand, so how do we expect this man to go out there and catch picks? But then again, he was at the combine snatching everything out the air. Why are we talking about a man who's disabled? Regardless, we have the Seahawks winning this game here in Hold My Nuggets Incorporated. Patriots taking on the Bengals in Cincinnati. I hear somebody calling me. That's probably the FCC talking about, hey man, you're talking about a man with one hand. You can't be doing that. Well, guess what, FCC? You can't censor me. Well, then again, yes, you can. Okay, all you got to do is just reach out to Disney and they're going to take down my videos. But of course, we ain't talking about that. To Mickey Mouse, eat a dick! But of course, Bengals hosting the New England Patriots. We had all this spy situation that just transpired. I cannot see Cincinnati walking away with this W. I think they're going to get shellacked at home. I don't think there's any chance in hell. All right, bring Vince McMahon on the field right now. Might as well kick off the XFL at halftime because there's no chance. No chance in hell the Patriots lose this game after losing 2 consecutive games. No way they lose this game to Cincinnati. Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, we're on to Cincinnati. And they're going to walk into Cincinnati, and it's going to be a whole lot of necrophilia. Call up Ted Bundy. Call up Jeffrey Dahmer. Call up anybody who engages in sexual acts with dead bodies, because that's what it's going to be looking like on the field in Paul Brown Stadium. Is that what it's called? Regardless of what it is, Cincinnati Bengals taking a hot L. Hot L. They about to lose. It's going to be bad. It is going to be bad. All right, Bengals fans, don't come to the stadium. Don't even show up. It's not worth it. Sit at home where you can cry in, the peace of your own home. Nobody has to see you. Call up that lady who was at the Steelers playoff game who was crying. She usually shows up in Cameo's a Pittsburgh Dad video. Get her out there. She going to be crying on the field somewhere. I got the Patriots winning that game, rolling over the Cincinnati Bengals. Buccaneers traveling to take on the Detroit Lions. I got the Bucs winning this game, man. I got the Bucs getting back to 500. I got Jameis Winston going into Detroit, throwing 2 interceptions, but throwing 4 TDs and going over 400 yards once again. David Blau will be starting, I believe, once again for the Detroit Lions. I do not think that Jeff Driscoll will be back, let alone Stafford. I think he's pretty much shut down for the rest of the season. I think Winston can get this offense going once again. In fact, they're averaging 29.1 points per game, 3rd in the NFL. The issue with the Bucs has been their defense this season, and the Detroit Lions offense is nothing that you should be blinking about. Nothing that really gives you cause to pause. I think the Bucs will be able to take care of business. I am a little bit concerned about that run game for the Buccaneers. I'd like to see them get going and stay consistent. But for the most part, Jameis, he's going to do Jameis things. All right, he'll put his team in a position to win, but also put his team in a position to lose. All right, I have no doubt in my mind this is going to be one of those fourth quarter sort of situations where Jameis has to pull himself out of the hole that he dug and got the Buccaneers the W. And I have the Bucs winning this game. I'm telling you all the time, I believe in Jameis Winston. He just got to fix those small issues. I believe Bruce Arians can be what Tom Coughlin was to Tiki Barber. You saw how Tiki had all them fumble problems. Tom Coughlin came in, told him high and tight. All of a sudden, Tiki only fumbled, I think, 4 times on the ensuing season, and maybe about like 8 to 10 times for the rest of his career coming into when Tom Coughlin took over. I think he had fumbled over 20 times. So in the case of Bruce Arians, I think this season was a test season to see how Jameis can play under his system. I honestly believe Jameis will be able to flourish moving forward. Although they are written down the death note, I think he's going to close out this season very strong. So I'm choosing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win. All right, Chicago Bears going to Lambeau Field to take on the Packers. I'll say this. This is a big-time game. All right, you might as well mark it down as one of the games of the week because the Packers have won 6 of their last 7 against the Bears. However, this is a very desperate Bears football team. They cannot afford to lose this game. All right, because they still are fighting for that final playoff spot in the 6th seed. All right, nobody knows what the fate of the Minnesota Vikings will be. All right, although they control their own destiny, it still is looking very favorable for them to hold on to that final seed. And you still got to keep pace with Los Angeles, that being the Rams. And you're sitting there. Nobody worries about the Eagles or the goddamn Cowboys. You're already ahead of them. They can't possibly get a wild card anyway. So the way I see it, this is a very very crucial game. Mitch Trubisky has to continue to play the way he's played over the course of the last 4 games. He cannot afford to go out there and not play disciplined football. All right? The biggest key for Chicago's defense, it's not Aaron Rodgers. It's Aaron Jones. Do not let Aaron Jones beat you. And I know this sounds ridiculous. Ridiculous. The fact that you would say, oh, you're not supposed to go out there and worry about Aaron Rodgers. Why would I worry about Aaron Jones? If Aaron Rodgers has access to the entire playbook and he's got a 100-yard rusher and Aaron Rodgers only has to throw for 100 or 200 yards by his own admission, you're going to have a bad time. I would say take away the run game and now force Aaron Rodgers to have to throw under duress all day. Now, that's not to say that he's not capable, because Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks on the move. However, if you have him under constant pressure, we've seen in the games in which, Green Bay has struggled, they're not playing their best football when Aaron Rodgers is constantly under duress. Get the contain from the outside. Khalil Mack, I'm looking at you. This is the game where you got to let people know, hey, turn on the stereo. Turn on the music in Club Dub. Make sure they can hear Return of the Mac, because you need to be in the backfield every single game. I think Akeem Hicks might be back for this particular game. I was looking at his progression regarding his health. I do believe he might be able to play. If he's not, that's unfortunate. But still, these Bears need to come and show up and put the league on notice and say, hey, we're still here. Sounding like Tom Brady in Foxborough. Regardless, I still got the Packers winning this game though. Everything is riding on Chicago to go out there and get this W, but it's Green Bay in Green Bay. I can't choose against Aaron Rodgers playing at home. The man's a monster when he's playing at home. He always makes it a home field advantage. I got the Packers winning this game. I think it's going to be interesting though. I think it's going to be very interesting. But I got Aaron Rodgers bringing his team down the field with a tie game, kick the game-winning field goal off the toes of Mason Crosby after a magnificent, pass to Devontae Adams inside the 20 to set them up with about 17 seconds left to play. I think there's going to be a game-winning field goal sort of situation, 23-20 in favor of the Packers, and thus putting the Bears out of the playoffs. I think they're going to go and win that game. Broncos taking on the Chiefs. This is a scary game, all right, because the Broncos right now still have life in the AFC playoff race. Okay, they may be sitting at 5-8, but if they win out and get a lot of help, they could possibly get themselves at 6 seed. Okay, initially I thought they was going to be written down the death note, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think they're going to walk into Kansas City, and I think they may just take care of business and walk away with a W. That's right, I'm saying this is upset alert. I got the Broncos winning this game in Arrowhead Stadium. Not to say that Patrick Mahomes won't come to play, but there's just something about this Broncos defense, the way they've been able to corral, or I should say the way they corralled Deshaun Watson last week. It gives me some cause to pause against this, Kansas City Chiefs team. And Drew Lock is looking very poised, man. I was talking about the Broncos defense early in the season. Remember, I have to constantly say this because when I'm wrong, I have to continually come out and say, hey, man, you know what, you got me. I said this Broncos team, obviously it's not the defense of old, but I said it was somewhat kind of overrated because statistically it looks good, but when you watch the in-game product, it's not as good as the stats, actually have. But damn it, you know what? After what I saw last week, I'm going upset alert, man. I'm going upset alert. I think Phillip Lindsay has another breakout game. I think he's only had one breakout game the entire season, and that being against, the Browns. But outside of that, he's been relatively quiet. I think this game, he gets going. Why? Because I do not trust that Chiefs defense. And that's my problem. The Chiefs offense I can trust, but at the same time, I can also look at the Broncos defense and say, hey, they're going to stop them a couple times. But can that Chiefs defense stop the Broncos offense? Not like the Broncos offense is something that really has you worrying. Like, wait a minute, they got a rookie quarterback. You got a second-year running back. You got nobody on the offense who you really should be circling and saying, we need to worry about this person. But they're very scary because they're a team that you come into a week thinking, oh, I could just overlook this team, and all of a sudden now you're down 38-3, Houston. I'm going upset alert, man. I think Drew Lock is going to go out there, not turn the football over. I think he's going to have 2 TDs, maybe catch Noah Fant one time, maybe get Cortland Sutton one time. I think Phillip Lindsay's going to have 2 touchdowns on the ground. I'm going Broncos win this game in Arrowhead 28-24. I think they win this game. All right, I don't know why I feel that way, but damn it, I think they're gonna get it done. This Broncos team, I don't think they're gonna make it to the playoffs, but I think they will beat Kansas City and keep things interesting in this wild card race for at least one more week. Luckily for Kansas City, they've already clinched their division. With Oakland losing 3 consecutive games, there's no, and of those 3 consecutive games that they lost to, Kansas City as well. So there's no way that they could possibly catch up. They got swept on the season, so since there's only 3 games left, Kansas City pretty much got they got themselves a home game and a wild card slot, locked up. Hell, with their win over New England, they can mess around and move up in the rankings if New England loses another game, because Kansas City's currently sitting at the 3 seed. So but I got Denver winning this game on the road. It sounds crazy, but damn it, I believe in Denver for this particular week, for just this week. Dolphins taking on the Giants in a game that nobody should be watching. Ryan Fitzpatrick taking on Eli Manning in the Meadowlands. Eli returning back home in front of his fans for, I think, the second to last home game of his career. Be quite honest with you, I would have loved to choose the Dolphins for this particular game after you saw them fight extremely hard against the Jets last week. I think I'm going to roll with the Giants to win this game. Why? Saquon Barkley is going to go off. I think he has over 150 yards on the ground, makes things extremely easy for Eli Manning. I think Eli will still do Eli things, possibly turn the football over for the first time since, week 2? Whatever the case may be, I got the Giants winning this game, possibly off the toes of Aldrick Rojas, and once again, the Dolphins fall victim to a game-winning field goal. I think that Giants offensive line will create holes for Saquon Barkley to run through, and I believe it will be solely Saquon who goes and gets them this W. I think the Giants once again jump out to an early lead, only to see Ryan Fitzpatrick go down the field and put points on the board for the Dolphins. But ultimately, I think it's off the toes of Aldrick Rojas who wins the Giants this game and gets Eli Manning another W and gets him back to 500 on his career. And then after that, I think they lose 2 consecutive games, and then he ends his career 117 and 119. But of course, we'll talk about that when we get there. But yeah, I got the Giants winning this game at home. Texans taking on the Titans. All right, this game, big time playoff implications. Battle for the lead in the AFC South in Tennessee. And you know what? I got Tennessee winning this game, man. They firing on all cylinders. Offensively, they cannot be stopped for some apparent reason. That run game from Derrick Henry is killing absolutely everybody. Ryan, Jack, and Jill went up to Tannehill, looks confident. A.J. Brown running very good routes. I like the way that this Tennessee team is moving. I like the way they're playing football. All right? Defensively, they're playing decent as well. Now, there's a little bit of a cause to pause because, again, you already know how I feel about Malcolm Butler at corner, and he's going to be, lined up against DeAndre Hopkins in a game in which Tennessee, or I should say, the Texans understand they must win. And big-time players make big-time plays in big-time games, and I expect to see big-time plays from DeAndre Hopkins. But this is in Tennessee. This is in Tennessee, and because it is, I'm rolling with the Titans to win this game, man. Tighten up. They're going to take the lead in the division. They will be taking the lead in the division. I do believe that Houston will get them back in 2 weeks. But for this particular game, I'm rolling with the Titans to win this game. I think they're going to control the clock. They're going to win the turnover margin, because I think Deshaun Watson will be in a desperation situation in the fourth quarter where he ends up throwing a couple of picks, maybe on the final 2 drives back-to-back. But I think the time of possession game will be won by Tennessee. I think they're going to possess the ball at least 35 minutes. And if you keep Deshaun Watson on the sideline sitting there without the football, lengthy drives from the Titans, more importantly, if they have to settle for field goals, they'll make it. I think Kaimi Fairbairn will miss at least 1 field goal for the Texans. I got the Titans winning this game at home. Eagles taking on the Redskins. This is going to be interesting, because I would love to say that Philly's going to win this game, no problem. But Washington played with a whole lot of spunk last week in Lambeau Field, man. And that offensive line for the Eagles, now Lane Johnson being hurt with that ankle. Who's to say that the pass rush doesn't get after, Carson Wentz? Those Bama boys up front might just give him hell all day. But I still do have the Eagles winning this game. I think Adrian Peterson runs for over 100 yards on this particular game. The Eagles may have won 5 consecutive games against the Redskins, but I think this is going to be one of those nail biters. because all season long we've seen the Eagles either play down to the competition, or when they play against one of the more elite teams, only one side of the ball shows up. I think the Redskins make this extremely interesting. It comes down to Jake Elliott, but ultimately Carson Wentz leads them on the game-clinching drive. I don't think the Eagles will be facing a deficit in this particular game. I think they'll have the lead the entire game, but the Redskins will make it interesting. And then ultimately, the Redskins will either be down by 4 or down by 3. And then on the last Eagles possession, they're going to go down the field and put themselves up into a 2-possession game and winning the football game. So I'm leaning with the Eagles to win this game. I think it's going to be a mixture of Carson Wentz and Zach Ertz who put this game away, at least on offense. Defensively, I need that secondary to show up. At least I would hope the secondary shows up. Because Dwayne Haskins, he's not, afraid to throw the football to you. So for the ones that get into your hands, catch them. But I do think Terry McLaurin will have a good game. But I got the Eagles winning this game. Browns, Cardinals. I got the Cardinals winning this game and finally putting the Browns in the death note. All right, I would love to say that the Browns is going to win this game on the road going in to play against Arizona, in which we have seen the Browns win 4 of their last 5. However, you know what? There's just something about this Arizona team that I like. They play with a lot of spunk. Although they're very young, and Chandler Jones and Terrell Suggs, I think they're going to get after Baker Mayfield. All right, that offensive line for the Cleveland Browns is nothing to be trusted. I think Nick Chubb can have a good ground game, going. But for some apparent reason, I think Kyler Murray, Larry Fitzgerald, Christian Kirk, those guys are going to get going for Arizona. Originally, I was going to choose the Browns to win this game on the road, but it's going to be in Arizona. Not to say that that's some sort of, advantage for Arizona, but then Cleveland having to go on the road, you've already got questions in the locker room regarding Odell Beckham now hearing that he might not want to be back with the team. That can give issues on the sideline because Baker may not be going in the direction of Odell Beckham with the football this time, but now it's going to get blown out of proportion because we know he does not want to be there. We know he's frustrated, or maybe they're going to try to force feed him the ball and then Patrick Peterson messes around and catches one and takes it back the other way. Antoine Bethea messes around. Well, he's on the Giants. Who's the safety? He got 2. God damn it! Why am I forgetting this guy's name? I said Antoine Bethea. What is his name? I think he's leading the league in tackles. What is his name? They play safety for the Cardinals. Good Lord. Why am I forgetting this guy's name? So at the top of my head. I don't know why I said Antoine Bethea. It is on the top of my head. The first name and the last name has the exact same, consonant. Why am I forgetting this guy's name? Buda Baker. There it is. Buda Baker. It came to me. I was thinking Bubba. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, get the table. But that's Devo. But of course, your Buda Baker, I think he's going to have a fumble recovery. And maybe even an interception. All I know is Buda Baker's going to have himself a turnover in his favor. Good Lord, that took a long time. It took like a minute. I don't know why I almost said Antoine Bethea. That's going to bother me. But yeah, I got the Cardinals winning this game. Baker Mayfield's going to be cooking up some apple turnovers at his pastry shop. Jaguars taking on the Raiders in Oakland. You know what? The Jaguars lost 5 straight games by 17 plus points. I think that's going to continue. I got Oakland winning this game, given that, Oakland no longer can win their division, although they're still alive in the playoff race. And this being one of the final games in Oakland, they're winning this game. I am a little bit concerned about the ground game, or I should say the ground defense for the Raiders, because you just saw Derrick Henry rub his nutsack on that defense, so maybe Leonard Fournette will get that going. But the past 5 games, the Jags have been very bad. They haven't been playing very good football. So I think Derek Vehicle will be able to galvanize his guys to play good football at home. And at the time, I think last week, they were leading, they were winning. It was tied up 21-21, but they have won 7 of their last 8 at home, and then now they done dropped that egg. I think they bounced back. I think the Raiders bounced back. Josh Jacobs, I do not know if he'll be back for this game in particular. That's going to be very big. If he's there, then I say the Raiders win. If he's not, I think it's still going to be interesting. But you know what? I'm going to say Raiders win this game. I'm still going to say Raiders win this game. The Jags, they got too many questions. I say Raiders win this game. My bicep is on fire right now. This is very concerning for me. Am I going to die? Rams taking on the Cowboys. Whoo! So in Dallas, the Rams, desperate as always, given that they just beat Seattle and they cannot afford to lose any other games. Dallas still yet to beat a team that is over 500, and what do you know? The Rams is over 500. I think the Rams win this game, and I don't think they have any issue winning this game at that either. They don't seem to have any super injuries going on, and on top of that, the receiving core, Robert Woods, is playing very well, so I expect him to have a very good game. Cooper Kupp is here. I do not expect this man to not have a great game. Tyler Higbee extending plays down the field. Very tough matchup for safeties or those nickel corners, you know. And on top of that, Todd Gurley, he had a very good game. He hasn't really had great consistent games, but I don't think the tendonitis will come and kick his ass this particular game. I got the Rams winning. In a rematch of last year's, playoff matchup, I got the Rams winning this game. Although it's in Jerry World, it's in Dallas, I don't think there's any single thing that really makes you wonder about, can the Cowboys go around and mess around and win this game? I do not think so. Remember what I told you guys. I think the Cowboys will lose 3 of their last 4, and they've already lost last week. I think they're going to lose again this week. I got the Rams winning, and more importantly, that defensive line, I should say, for the Rams, I think they're going to get after the Cowboys all day. Zeke hasn't looked like Zeke all season, and more importantly, I believe he will not run over 70 yards this particular game. I think he's going to get stopped left and right. He'll probably mess around and end the game with about 40, 50 yards. It's going to become the Dak show. And when it becomes the Dak show, Aaron Donald, Brockers, and all those other guys, Fowler, they're going to get after, Dak Prescott all doggone day, and he mess around and have a 2-interception game, and it'll look terrible. I got the Rams winning this game on the road, man. I got the Rams winning this game. 49ers and the Falcons in Santa Clara. Upset alert. Matter of fact, no, I'm playing. I got the 49ers winning this game. I would have loved to say upset alert. I think it's going to be very interesting. I think it's going to be a close game. But ultimately, defensively, I don't trust that Falcons team. I don't trust that Falcons team. I think their offense will come to play. I think Julio Jones has a big-time game. All right, I think he goes out there and has over 100 yards. His first over 100-yard game in quite some time. I think on the ground, Devontae Freeman will activate a little bit of dreadlock powers. I think he'll find the end zone. I think Matt Ryan has a very good game. I think he can mess around and be a shootout. But again, like I said, I don't trust that Falcons defense. And because I don't trust that Falcons defense, I think porn star Jimmy G will do whatever he wants. But ultimately, it'll be the run game that is the difference maker for the Atlanta Falcons in this game. I think they run for over 200 yards. Whether it's Mostert, Breida, or is it Coleman who's back? No, Mostert, Breida, or James Jr. I believe it's James Jr. Those guys, I think they're going to have a very good game and ultimately win it for the 49ers. And that offensive line for the Falcons, you're going to have, your work cut out for you this particular game, because that 49ers front will be coming. And more importantly, I do not expect the Falcons defense to be able to contain George Kittle. I think he has the best game of his, season thus far. I don't think they're going to be able to cover him. I think the receivers will be taken care of, but George Kittle will be murdering those safeties and linebackers who go out there and cover him. I got the 49ers winning this game. Vikings and Chargers. On the road goes the Vikings. This is going to be an interesting one, because initially I was saying the Vikings are going to win this game, no problem. But you know what? I think the Chargers win this game, man. I think the Chargers win this game and make things interesting in the NFC. I think the Chargers win this game because they've been in every single game after winning last week in a huge blowout to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and Phillip Rivers screaming in people's ear, talking about 91-yard touchdown when you're eliminated from postseason contention. Whatever the case may be, I got the Chargers winning this game, man. Why? Because the Vikings are 3-4 on the road thus far this season. They may be 6-0 at home, but on the road they're not the same football team. And the Chargers playing at home, not to say they have any home field advantage, I just like the way that they've been playing, at least offensively. Phillip Rivers has shot them in the foot, but outside of that, they played very solid. And I think Keenan Allen, I think Austin Eckler, I think Melvin Gordon, I think Hunter Henry, they go out there and have good games. And remember, still, this Vikings defense, they can get penalties out there. But granted, Daniel Hunter and those guys, they can get after the quarterback at a very great pace. But for it's just them going on the road. I cannot envision them winning this game on the road. Luckily for them, their last 2 games is going to be at home. But They're on the road for this game. I got the Chargers winning, and this is going to make things very interesting in the NFC, wild card race. Colts, Saints, and the Saints are at home after a very devastating loss last week against the 49ers. I got the 49ers. Pardon me. I got the Saints winning this game. Why am I yawning? I got the Saints winning this game at home. The Colts lost 3 consecutive games, 3 games that they needed to win. And more importantly, they've lost 7 of their last 9 against the Saints. And I believe that includes the Super Bowl as well. I think Drew Brees' Jesus will continue to take advantage of defenses, and he's going to go out there and have a 4-touchdown game. I think this is going to be the game in which he passes, Peyton Manning for the all-time, touchdown. On the all-time touchdown list. I think on the ground, Alvin Shinsuke Nakamura has a very good game as well. And, I just cannot see the Colts winning this game, man. The last 3 games have been very bad. That defense has not aided them at all in the past 3 games. I got the Saints winning this game at home. I cannot envision a circumstance in which the Colts walk into the Mercedes-Benz Superdome and walk out with a W. And last but not least, Pittsburgh taking on the Buffalo Bills, primetime, Sunday Night Football. Pittsburgh's going to be wearing the color rush, and because they're wearing the color rush, I'm leaning towards Pittsburgh to win this game. I would have loved to say Buffalo was going to mess around and win, but we saw offensive struggles last week against Baltimore. Failure to finish in the end zone, having to settle for field goals. That's a problem. Why? Because Pittsburgh's a very opportunistic defense. If you keep having to settle for field goals and Pittsburgh keeps it close and settles for field goals themselves or whatever, it's only a matter of time before Sean McDermott goes and says, hey, all right, Josh Allen, let's go out there and take a shot. And you see Pittsburgh's defense, as I mentioned, is very opportunistic. They'll take that football out of your hands. More importantly, they get after the quarterback. They lead the league in sacks right now. All right, in defense, there's going to be a defensive battle. All right, whoever wins the turnover battle will win this game. Ranked right now, Pittsburgh's 5th in the league in defense. Buffalo's 3rd in the league in defense. The rushing attack for Buffalo is 5th in the league, though. So Pittsburgh needs to go out there and shut down that run. And if they go and they shut down that run, things will look much more favorable for them. John Brown, the last time that he played in Pittsburgh, I believe he murdered the Steelers defense when he was playing with Baltimore. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the Steelers go out there and cover, but they're a different defense now that they were, back then. So I'm curious to see how that'll play out offensively. For Pittsburgh, protect the duck, protect the football. That's the most important. Protect the duck, protect the football. For the Bills, get the run game going and keep Josh Allen away from the Steelers defense. Protect your quarterback, get that run game going. James Conner will be back. Juju Smith-Schuster will be back. It'll be interesting to see how they are incorporated into the offense and ingratiated back into the rotation with the duck at quarterback and not Mason Rudolph. But this is a Pittsburgh Steelers team that's extremely desperate. They're firing on all cylinders. They've won 7 of their last 8. It's going to be very interesting to see how things ultimately, play out for this team when it comes to the playoff push. I think I think Buffalo's going to make it extremely interesting. But ultimately, I got the Steelers winning this game. I don't think Josh Allen will play a clear, clean football game. I think he's going to turn the football over at least twice, and they'll mess around and have a fumble on the ground. I think Pittsburgh, the Duck, will throw an INT, mess around and go to Tre'Davious White or Micah Hyde. And I think they're going to put the football on the ground too. But ultimately, I think it's going to come down to the toe of Chris Boswell. I think there's going to be 3 or 4 games this particular week that is won from the field goal kickers. But that has been my pre-game analysis of your 2019 NFL Week 15 games. Let me just go down the list, let you know who I believe are winning. I have the Ravens defeating the Jets tonight, the Seahawks defeating the Panthers, Patriots taking down the Bengals, Buccaneers taking down the Lions, Packers taking down the Bears, Broncos upset alert taking down the Chiefs, Giants taking down the Dolphins, Steelers over the Bills, Titans defeating the Texans, Eagles beating the Redskins, Cardinals upset alert over the Browns. All right, Raiders taking down the Jaguars at home, Rams taking down the Cowboys, 49ers over the Falcons, Chargers upset alert over the Vikings because the Vikings are 3-4 on the road. And last but not least, the Saints taking down the Colts. Let me know who you think is winning this particular week. And let me know if you think I got something wrong, if you think that I'm right, whatever the case may be. It's all prediction. Who knows what will happen come this Sunday, come this Thursday, come this Monday. But all I know is that you have been tuned in to Hold My Nuggets Incorporated for your 2015 NFL pregame analysis show. I have been your host, the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual, the Chiseled Adonis. And stay tuned tonight because I am going live on Hot Mic for the Ravens and Jets game. They have a couple new, broadcasters who since popped up on the app, and they've accumulated up to 600 plus followers. So they're closing in on me. I'm still sitting at number one. I have near about an 80 follower lead. So we got to keep Hold My Nugget Studios at the top. So if you have not downloaded the Hot Mic app already, click the links in the top pinned comment, click the links in the description, and give your boy a follow. It's now available on not only iOS and Apple iPhones, it's also available in the Play Store for all Android. So just give it a download. It's absolutely free. Use the promo code Adonis and listen to me instead of having to listen to those commentators on your television screen. I'm headed back to the Shadow Realm. I'll see you guys tonight. Matter of fact, instead of fading to black, why don't I just put my hand to the camera? Yeah, I'm going to do that. All right, here we go.